This is part 9 of the question and answer book, The Mancharians' Newest Civilization, in audio format. In this section we are being given a more detailed explanation of how universes are being designed in their interdimensional makeup. The Mancharians also explain to us how death is to be perceived. All sessions were recorded in 1995 in Tempe, Arizona. Mancharians, we are the Mancharians. We have come to perform a work. We have come to show you the way that you may receive the eternal gift of life and bliss. Living is one point and one of your perspectives, but in order to have bliss, is that not with eternal river? The eternal river that flows from the tree of life is never broken. Your people have missed this concept so well taught by the messenger who came so long ago in your time concept. We are the Mancharians. Good night. We release this body with our thanks back into your care. Tomorrow night we will resume. Bring many questions. We have many answers. We promise to answer any and all put forth. Gather questions from those around you at work and at play. Session 3. Wednesday, May 10, 1995, 8:55 p.m. Director, good evening. Are you coming in Christ consciousness and in the spirit of oneness with the universe? Mancharians, we are the Mancharians, we are the oneness of the creation. We are indeed the Christ-mindedness of the Creator. We are the Creator. Director, thank you. We are delighted to be with you again tonight and have prepared some more questions for you to answer. Now, one that many would want to have an explanation on is this one: what are dimensions, or planes, or spheres of existence, and how many are there for us to inherit in total? Mancharians, indeed. The spheres or dimensional planes or dimensional planets, for all do conglomerate within accord of one another. Each has their dualities and are performing within consensus of duality. For instance, in your words, to keep it on a more simplistic plane for your understanding, we simply mean to say here, that one planet or another, whether be in one dimensional frequency or another, alters its shape and alters its time coordinates, whereby you have one frequency or dimension, because you must understand that in all dimensional frequencies it is a higher elevation of sound or the speed of light, which changes and alters the matter, or the way matter is viewed. In order then to perceive by your concepts, or your standards, the altering of the different dimensional planes, it is important firstly to understand that all texture and substance is altered by the speed of light in which it inhabits itself. This is where the Creator has made the web, and this is why you have different galaxies and different planets, which seem to spin or rather have an aura around them. You would know immediately if you were to enter another dimension. You would find the mass of matter to be somewhat lighter in the higher, and why would it be lighter indeed, but the molecules are not so tightly embedded together. This of course makes it easier for one substance to move through another on the much higher planes or frequencies of thought, for that is the Creator of all things. You too are the creators in your own essence, though of a limited nature. Director, if it were possible for us to take the bodies that mankind has now and were to be accepted into the environment of fifth-dimensional beings, would that have an effect on our bodies? Mancharians, the body, you must understand and tell your people, is of such dense matter. It would make the physical encumbrance somewhat overly weighty, much akin to walking over quicksand, and here we're speaking of dimensions of the 7th altitude frequency. For dimensions are not high or low as in height or going up or down, but they are rather one layer upon another. This must be understood as the foundation to all perimeters of dimensions. We have noticed among your people, that they not only misperceive their own concepts, but do use the higher standards as stumbling blocks for their imagination. For as we have said before, all imagination stems from thought patterns, which is simply a mind creation. Director, could you please explain how man coexists in multi-dimensions but still seems to only have his full consciousness working in this third dimension? Mancharians, indeed. This is simply because his full consciousness, which is tied in with the source, is at this time, you could liken it, we suppose, with the universe as a whole, putting its consciousness into one galaxy or piece of the whole, in order for it to work in the different galaxies which are embedded within the universal consciousness. You would have a division intact, and to further lessen it to put it onto different planes or dimensions such as planets where there is a denser atmosphere, you would simply put another portion of the consciousness. There be a lesson to be learned. And to forbid to keep on going around on the wheel, that soul entity would be directing their consciousness onto that portion, whereby the consciousness still would be ruling in the other galaxies, which are of a higher essence or dimension, though not as much need be taken for it to rest there. Director, thank you. Is mankind on the verge of joining together in a collective consciousness? Mancharians, indeed this would be what we would have long hoped for. However, you must understand that you are still at a very crude level of evolvement. Your people must understand from us, because we have journeyed a long way in your time coordinates for many such eons. Broadcasting over the ethers, we have noticed that no one, who is so in tune with themselves, will fail to notice the greater good of progression on their journey, especially as we would mention, when they do come together as a group. But it is far time yet, as we have explained before, they have yet to work with themselves. For how can man work with others when he does not even have the realization of working with himself in total harmony? Director, where, as far as man's achievement of greater awareness or greater consciousness or spiritual progression into a higher dimensional state is concerned, does death fit in? The losing of one's physical body, is this process of what we call death a helpful state in the direction of acquiring a higher dimensional existence, frequency, or unity with those of higher dimensional planes? Mancharians, this is simply a manufacturing of different frequency whereby, as we have already stated, when you go in the higher frequencies, your body must be less dense. It is not a process of dying or a process of living. It is more a process of changing. Consider yourselves from day to day as changelings. You would be perhaps more accurate to describe your changings as metamorphic, such as a caterpillar into butterflies. As one changes into the other, so does the other, which could be termed as butterfly, able to fly into higher realms without having such denseness tying it to the earth. Director, so then it is not absolutely necessary for us to go through the death process if we knew how to effectively raise our vibrational frequency, and thus join in with those frequencies of higher dimensions? Am I correct? Mancharians, that would be the idea, for it is as we would put it, a shifting. As you shift from the alpha-beta waves into the theta waves, so does your consciousness shift into the upper realms of understanding. It is so with the DNA molecular structuring of your coding, which no longer exists with us. We have bypassed that point eons ago, but it is always an interesting aspect and scientific study for those of you on the road. Director, indeed. How are the universes designed? I understand universes as one universe with many galaxies. Is this concept limited or am I imposing in my view a limited concept of what the universe is like? Mancharians, imposing is as discrimination. We do not recognize any discrimination here. All questions are welcome. This is why we have come to perform our duty, to answer questions for you and your people. All humanity will one day benefit, as these writings go throughout the earth into many nations and many languages. Director, now, can you explain how those universes are designed? Universes are such as imaginary thoughts. What could you create with your imaginary thoughts? Could they be somewhat diversified? How would you describe one car from another in a car lot, performing, that you have one set of vehicles from another brand, supposing you separate the sports from the tandy sort? You see, it is all a matter of creation. There are no limits or ties that bind. We do not run a consensus as to what should be here and what should be placed there as in blueprints or diagrams. We are free to make our own choices. We are beings of free will. We are one with the Creator. We are the Mancharians, and we have come to perform our duty to bring truth to you and your people, to send throughout the world to all nations and tongues and dialects. For not one will be left out. One who can't read will say by word of mouth. The results will be no less than amazing. We have our standards as well, and this may surprise you to hear this. But we do not perform, whether be countless galaxies in one universe and structured accordingly with this planet and that planet and having rotationary boundaries, and which one spins at a degree, and which one spins the opposite as a degree, because here you have the duality of opposites. Not all planetary forms spin in the same direction, because in order that they have duality, you must always have concurring fact of implementing counterclockwise. Has this ever occurred to your people? This is but a simple law of physics. Because of different altitude of waves above the Earth, and here we do try to keep it simple, you will find throughout the universes and indeed the galaxies and even more so, looking up from the base of the planets, that accordingly skies will be formed with a different hue, a different color. This is simply because of different texture in gases and masses, for all operates at a different frequency. If you have molecules of reds and blues tightly intermeshed together, is it not a rather hard color? But supposing you put dots of white as your painting, would it not appear to be lighter then? Or perhaps on the other hand you have it all green as our sky, and then you dot lines or hues in of grey, would you not have a mingling then of texture? All things are applicable concerning the atmospheres. The designing of creators, you must understand, we are one. This must be understood for the simple reason that no prospect could be elevated and implemented without full consensus from the one. Did it ever occur to your people to ask why the beauty reigns throughout different universes and galaxies? Because we come as one, you have a mingling of complete harmony and thought in one with all the harmonics and vibrational frequencies and essences and imaginary thoughts, or as we should perhaps term it, imaginations of countless, all flowing in harmony. Could you now start to imagine the simplicity and the beauty, and with which simplicity and beautifying factors that we as creators can paint a picture for you? This is not simply the imaginings of one as individualism. This is what holds your concepts so tight and your limitations in thought. We do state this many times for the knowing and understanding of your people, for if they do not understand this simple rule and how it affects their evolution and what they are actually reaching for, it will put them rather at a stalemate within themselves. Proceed. Director, end of file 9. Our presence on internet is freeearthsystem.net. As well as starshipfederation.atspace.co.uk. My presence on Facebook is facebook.com/Sentana-Ries. It is our intent to present to you listeners the words of the Mancharians from the book The Mancharians' Newest Civilization in audio segments of approximately 5 to 9 minutes in length. Happy listening.